President Mahama commits to abide by decision of Supreme Court in a case in which the MPP is challenging the 2012 election results, but he will not accept Ochehene's admonition to call supporters to order.
I'm so happy about the point you made about people adopting insulting behavior. We know who those people are, and I think that the messages should be addressed directly to them. I mean, many of us have never insulted our political opponents ever in our lives, and we never will. You can count on us to be decent in our politics.
We will hear from the Ochehene's vice at the Eastern Regional House of Chiefs and the opposition MPP.
This is Top Story with Evans Mensah.
Top Story is brought to you by Bond Financial Services, your success, our passion. Belacra Mineral Water, the new generation mineral water. It's also brought to you by Lifebuoy, still 100% better germ protection. Also by Blue Rose Limited, shelter for all. He threw the first challenge and got one back in equal measure. Ochehene Amwetia for repenning, leading the Eastern Regional House of Chiefs today, challenged President Mahama to accept the decision of the Supreme Court in a petition filed by Nana MPP flag bearer Nana Addo Akufo-Addo and two others against the 2012 election results, whatever the outcome. He did not stop there. He also asked the president and his colleagues across the political divide to call their supporters to order when they make disparaging remarks about their political opponents. The president's response to that was simple. You know who those people are, and so address your call directly to them. The president was emphatic. He and many of his followers cannot be accused of using disparaging remarks about the opponents. We will shortly hear from the president, but let's first listen to the Ochehene.
There is a case at the Supreme Court. We, all of us, have to be committed that whatever the justices arrive at, all parties, all citizens in our country will accept the decision in good faith. Because the country we grew up in, Mr. President, had different threads and different backgrounds woven into a big solid quilt called Ghana. We've had that because of stability and peace and unity. The Dankwa's Ghana, the Nkrumah's Ghana, the Agra's Ghana didn't know differences in ethnicity. Politics should not divide us, should bring us together. Whatever anybody has, different ideas, different methods, there is a common denominator. And all of us must be committed to love that five-letter word that has been our name, Ghana, forever. We ask that all of us tell our supporters to control some of the utterances in public. We were brought up in a family that taught us how to respect authority and the elderly. We have not forgotten about those values just because we are modern. We need to hold on to that values that brought us together as Ghana. And I know that the president will lead in that fight.
Now, the Ochehene got two responses from the president. The first was a challenge to him to redirect his call to people the president believes are more guilty of using disparaging remarks, who the president insists are well known by all.
I'm so happy about the point you made about people adopting insulting behavior. We know who those people are, and I think that the messages should be addressed directly to them. I mean, many of us have never insulted our political opponents ever in our lives, and we never will. You can count on us to be decent in our politics. But there are some individuals in this country who are in responsible positions, who at every step of the way are insulting their political opponents, and we know them. And so I think that Nananum should feel bold to identify them and address the message directly to these people and ask them to be cautious in the way they go about their politics. We're not enemies. There is competition for political power. And the electorate decides, and God decides. And once he's decided, we must accept the situation as it is. If we have a challenge, we should do what is civil and send it to the courts as it's in the courts. Let's leave it to the courts to decide. But week on and week on, rallies are held. The president is insulted. Every decent person is insulted in this country. And I'm happy Osagyefo raised it. And I believe that other civil society organizations, religious bodies, should identify what the problem is and deal with it as it should be.
Well, besides Ochehene, MPP flag bearer Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, who is one of the petitioners in the case challenging the election results, had in the past demanded a commitment from President Mahama that he will accept the decision of the Supreme Court, whatever the outcome. Today, the president responded to that call briefly. Listen.
I note Osagyefo's words in respect of the constitutional, the case before the Supreme Court. And I mean, we all have sworn to abide by the Constitution, and so there's no doubt about our obligations in this matter.
So is that assurance adequate for MPP officials who were the first to demand a firm commitment from the president? Joining me on the line right now is the communications director of the MPP, Nana Kumia. Thank you, sir, for your time here on Top Story. You heard the president. Satisfied?
Hello?
Hello, Nana. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Great. Can you hear me?
That's Ivan?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes. You heard the president. He says, well, we are law-abiding. The Supreme Court decision we will respect. Satisfied?
Well, it is good for the president and the political actors involved in the lawsuit to pledge their desire to comply with whatever the Supreme Court would decide. It is good. It is good for our politics, but at the end of the day, it should not be a matter of choice to agree or to abide by what the Supreme Court decides. What the Supreme Court decides is the final. It is the law. It should not be open to somebody's choice that I would accept or I would not accept.
I really doubt if anybody had suggested that. The president, you had made that call when Nana held that press conference asking for some firm commitment. Today he says when it comes to the law and the Constitution, you have no problem. So you should be rest assured the Supreme Court decision will be respected. He never said that he will not.
No, I'm saying to you that it is good that those commitments are being made by the parties involved. Nana Addo, President Mahama. It is good that they are committing themselves to accept what the Supreme Court will decide. But I'm saying that beyond their commitment, that agreement to what the Supreme Court decides is not a matter of choice. Nana Akufo-Addo or the NPP should have no choice once the court decides. President Mahama and the NDC should have no choice once the court decides. If you say you obey, it's like you have a choice not to obey. That is the larger picture that I'm pointing out.
You heard his response on the second issue regarding supporters across the political divide, indeed, who use disparaging remarks. So the Ochehene wanted some, political assurance that these people will be called to order. The president, as far as is concerned, says, well, that call must be addressed elsewhere because he has never engaged in that in his followers, and they will never do that. And people, as he said, hold political rallies, and the president is insulted on a daily basis. And so that call really must go elsewhere. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I think the president was being disingenuous in his commentary on that matter. I mean, it is good that everybody, civil society, the politicians, the chieftaincy institutions, it is good that everybody is engaged in the business of decrying insulting language in our politics. So if the president calls on the chiefs and every other stakeholder to be involved in ensuring that abusive language is taken out of our politics. It is good. But if he tries to take his party away from that, that will be disingenuous.
Why do you say so?
Why? Just recently, the president himself had to apologize to some religious organizations for disparaging language used against them by very senior members of his party. So it is an effort that should engage all of us, political leaders, civil society, the chiefs, the president, everybody should be.
But you also admit that within your own ranks, there are people who, maybe on a daily basis on radio networks, call the president names, and that's what he might be referring to today.
I'm saying that disparaging remarks have come from all sides. So it's disingenuous for anybody to say that as on my side, we don't engage in disparaging remarks, and so those comments from Ochene should be directed elsewhere. Because disparaging remarks have come from all sides. And I've given you the example that the president himself just recently had to apologize for disparaging remarks made by top officials of his party directed against religious leaders.
I see. Thank you, sir, for your time. That's the communications director with the NPP in the Nakumia there. But for the Eastern Regional House of Chiefs, led by the Ochehene, why were the issues of the Supreme Court case and the perceived disparaging remarks by party supporters such important subjects for them to bring before the president? And did they get the satisfactory response that they were probably hoping for from the president? Joining me on the line right now is the Vice President of the Eastern Regional House of Chiefs, Nana Osei Nyako III. Thank you, sir, for your time here on Top Story. First, tell me, were you first invited or you went there on your own volition?
Oh, head of state, we went on own volition.
So you wanted all, including the president, to commit to accepting the outcome of the Supreme Court case. Why was that important in your estimation as far as the House of Chiefs is concerned?
Yes, we have only one state, and we all are crying for peace, harmony, tranquility, and peaceful understanding, you see. So, if we allow our politicians, if we allow our Christian leaders, if we allow our chiefs to mingle what it's not something that everybody is aware, then it means we are now trying to divide our own country. That is not so. Ghana is a one state, and we should all try to accommodate ourselves, whatever the problems. That is why we have church leaders, we have chiefs, and we have the Christian leaders. And so this is something we have to make sure for everybody to understand what actually is happening.
Including the president. But was his response adequate to address the concerns that you had when you went there?
Oh, yes. I think a lot of pressmen were around, and we are satisfied.
Let's talk about the second subject you went there with. That is people making disparaging remarks, supporters making disparaging remarks today. The president, in his response to you, said essentially that, listen, we know these individuals, so chiefs yourselves, direct your concerns to these individuals that the president believes are known, who he again says hold political rallies, call him names, and so basically address them directly.
So far as the chiefs are concerned, including myself speaking to you on the air now, we all know that all the political parties are guilty. We quite remember senior members from both sides, NPP, NDC, exchanging words which is not palatable to Ghanaian society.
So then let me ask then. So when you heard the president say that people like myself And
Yes.
those of us who will never engage in those disparaging remarks, that's to paraphrase, and you can trust us. Is it something
yes.
that, is it something that, you know, you acknowledge and are willing to accept?
That's right. Because the president was very confident, so also his other political party leaders are very, very sure and confident that they never do such a thing. They never insulted individuals. As a matter of fact, politics of insult is not something good for the nation.
But I thought you just said that, as far as you're concerned, all the parties are guilty of this. But the president told you today that, as far as he's concerned, and those that he works with, they will never ever do such things as using disparaging remarks. And so, rest assured that they will not be involved in that.
That's right, because leadership by example. The president is very, very sure that he can take control of his individual parties, whatever your position. So that with this assurance from the president, everybody is very comfortable. Because if you err, just like the president has made a remark, then you know that you are kicking against the rightful nature and then the rightful statement which the president has come out with.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir, for your time. That's the Vice President of the Eastern Regional House of Chiefs, Nana Osei Nyako III, speaking to us here about their visit to the castle, to the Flagstaff House today. You want to stay with us in 15 minutes because we'll be telling you the very latest from that meeting happening between the GMA and the Vice President. Have they managed to broker some deal of a sort to call off the strike? You want to stay with us in 15 minutes to learn the details. Top Story is brought to you by Bond Financial Services. Your success, our passion. Belacra Mineral Water, the new generation mineral water, is also brought to you by Lifebuoy, still 100% better germ protection, and Blue Rose Limited, shelter for all. My name is Evans Mensah.